The rain that night didn't fall. It crashed. Thunder rolled low across the valley, as if the mountains themselves were groaning under some unbearable weight. I stood at the top of the staircase, gripping the wooden banister until my knuckles went white, watching through the bay window as two dark silhouettes stepped out of a sleek black car. One of them held an umbrella. The other held a briefcase. The one with the briefcase was my son-in-law. My heart thudded against my ribs. I hadn't cried at the wedding. Even when the vows were said and the rings exchanged, even when my daughter looked up at him with stars in her eyes. But something about that man's walk, the deliberate rhythm of his steps up the stone path now, made the tears rise. I knew before he rang the doorbell. He hadn't come for my daughter. He'd come for the house. I should have seen it earlier. The signs were all there, tucked into every casual glance and carefully rehearsed smile. But when you love your child, you bury your doubts deeper than you should. And now, the past was standing on my porch in a tailored suit. Let me take you back. Maybe if you understand how we got here, you'll see why it hurts so much. Why I'm not just a mother, or a widow, or a homeowner. I am a woman betrayed. My name is Mariel Vargas. I'm 61 years old, and I've lived in this house, my house, for nearly 4 decades. I built it with my late husband, Samuel. Every nail, every piece of wood, we touched it with our hands. He died of pancreatic cancer 8 years ago, and since then, this home has been all I have left of him. Of us, we had one daughter, Camila. Bright, tender, stubborn as the day is long. She was our miracle baby, born after years of trying and 2 miscarriages that nearly broke me. Camila grew up among garden beds and birdsong, in a house filled with music and love, but also with silence, especially after Samuel died. Grief turned us both inward. I did my best to raise her right, sent her to college, let her find her wings. She studied architecture like her father, said she wanted to restore old buildings and bring memory back into broken spaces. That's how she met him. His name is Adrian Cordero. Tall, clean-cut, silver tongue. I remember the first time she brought him home. He wore a cashmere coat and called me Aura Vargas with such charm that I almost smiled. Almost. But something in his eyes didn't match the warmth of his voice. Too calm. Too cold. Like a man who rehearsed his face every morning in the mirror. He's a project manager at this restoration firm downtown, Camila told me, glowing. He understands legacy, Mom.
Just like Dad did.
Legacy. That word would come back to haunt me. They dated for a year. The wedding was small, tasteful, just like they wanted. And although I had my doubts, mothers always do, I pushed them down. Camila was happy. That should have been enough. But something shifted after the honeymoon. Adrian started visiting alone. Camila's at the office. He'd say, stepping into my home like it already belonged to him. He began talking about consolidating family assets, about preparing for the future, using words that wrapped greed in golden ribbon. Then, one afternoon, 3 weeks after the wedding, he came with a notary. I just need your signature, Aura Vargas, he said with that practiced smile. It's just a transfer of name for estate purposes. Makes inheritance easier in the long run. Camila's idea. I remember the pen in his hand. Silver, elegant. The kind of pen you use to steal a life. I didn't sign, but it wasn't over. Not even close. Camila came the next day, flustered and distant. Said she had suggested the idea, just to simplify things down the road. Said I was overreacting. It's just a house, Mom. Just a house. I almost slapped her. But instead, I walked to the living room and ran my hand across the old cedar table Samuel built the summer after we married. Just a house. No, Camila. This was where your father played guitar on Sunday mornings, where you took your first steps, where you fell asleep on my chest after your first heartbreak. This house isn't walls. It's us. Still, I didn't speak much after that. I waited to see how far Adrian would go. Meanwhile, cracks began to show. Not just in the walls, but in their marriage. Camila stopped smiling the same way. Her laughter got shorter. She avoided eye contact when she visited. And then came the argument. It was late, nearly midnight. I heard them yelling outside. She was crying. I cracked the window and caught one word from his mouth like a slap in the face. Leverage. She left that night, came into my room, and collapsed into bed like she did when she was a little girl. She didn't talk, just cried herself into sleep. I held her all night. The next morning, Adrian called me. He didn't threaten. He didn't plead. He simply said, "You'll regret making this difficult." He didn't know who I was. I wasn't born with this house. I fought for it. I married a dreamer and spent years scrubbing toilets and stitching dresses while he studied at night. We earned this land inch by inch, and no man in a tailored suit was going to take it from me. So I started digging. Subplot 1, I found out Adrian wasn't who he claimed to be. His firm had been dissolved 6 months before he met Camila. He had no listed income, but what he did have was a history of targeting women with assets. An ex-fiancée in Madrid, another in Arizona. Both women had one thing in common. They owned property. Both vanished from his life after mysterious transfers of ownership. Subplot 2, Camila's best friend, Liana, came forward with messages, screenshots from years ago, where Adrian talked about locking in generational wealth. And in one message, from before the wedding, he wrote, "Once her mom's out of the picture, the house is mine." Simple. I didn't tell Camila at first. I needed her to see it herself. So I set the trap. I invited Adrian for dinner. Told him I'd been thinking, and maybe he was right. Maybe I was being paranoid. He showed up with wine and that same smug smile. I served the meal on Samuel's china. Halfway through, I said, "Before I sign anything, I want to record your reasoning, just to have for family history. You said you care about legacy." He nodded. So I pulled out my phone, hit record, and I asked him everything. He talked for 15 minutes. Smooth, polished. But halfway through, he slipped, said, "This place will be better once it's managed right. Camila and I already discussed putting it on the market." I paused. "Camila," she agreed. He smiled. "Of course." She walked out of the kitchen then. She'd been listening the whole time. "I didn't," she said quietly. "You told me it was for taxes. You said you were protecting my mother." The look on Adrian's face turned. Just for a second. And that was all we needed. We had it on tape. The rest moved fast. Restraining order, fraud investigation. A lawyer who used to be a friend of Samuel's stepped in and helped us secure the deed, irrevocably, in my name. Adrian disappeared. Camila spent a long time blaming herself. But I told her, no, I showed her what love really is. Love is not a man who takes. Love is a mother who stays. Now, we live in this house together again. She paints in the mornings. I grow tomatoes. We laugh more. And sometimes when the wind moves through the old trees, I swear I hear Samuel's voice in the leaves, telling me I did right, that I protected our legacy. Because this isn't just a house. It's a fortress made of memory. And no one, not even a smooth-talking man with a notary, can take that from me. So if you're out there, if you've got something precious, something that can't be bought or sold, guard it. Don't let anyone wrap their greed in silk words. Remember, wolves don't always growl. Sometimes they smile.